So our app works and it's showing us different content on the screen based on the URL, but why? Well, let's check out the router a little bit more closely. In app.jsx, we define 3 different components. We have hello, child1, and child2. Then we defined a routes object and rendered it to the DOM. This is basically React Router in action. Let's take a closer look at the routes object here. It looks like a bunch of JSX, but the top level component is labeled as a router, and then the components inside are routes. Each of these route objects declare a possible location that the user can visit. So at the very top level path, we have just a slash. That means that the user can visit the route /, which in practicality would be something like app.com/. That would render our hello component. Each of these child routes are nested inside of the hello component. Because they're nested inside, the paths are additive. So if we want to render the component child1 to the screen, we would visit /1. If we want to render child2, we would visit /2. The nesting that we see here not only determines the possible routes that we can visit, but also how our components are rendered for each URL that we visit. Let's take the case of just visiting /. When we visit this route, we've declared that the component hello should be rendered. When we visit the route /1, however, we get the component hello and child1. Hello will be rendered on the screen, and it will be given the component child1 as a property called children. So that's why we added inside of the hello component this.props.children. When we visit /1, the component child1 is literally handed to hello as this.props.children. So if we just reference it inside of the render component, it will be automatically rendered in here for us. So this is why React Router really rocks. By just placing this.props.children, we can easily and dynamically nest different components inside of each other. Because hello is given the subcomponent through props, we always need to make sure that we render this.props.children if this component is a parent route. In other words, if it is rendering child routes like so. Let's do a little example here and see what happens when we don't define this.props.children. We're going to take the first route here, the first path 1, and we're going to make it a non-self-closing tag. So at the very end here, we're going to take off the slash, and then we'll close the route. And then we'll go ahead and move path 2 inside of path 1. So let's think about the different routes we can now visit. We have /, we can visit /1, and we can visit /1/2. So I'm going to save this. And we still have I'm child1 here because we're currently on /1. Let's try going just to /. And I'm going to refresh the page after I change the URL. And you can see we got nothing here. Now let's try /1 again. There we go. And let's try /1/2. You can see that we still have I'm child1, but we don't have anything having to do with child2 popping up on the screen. That's because we didn't place this.props.children in child1's render method. So let's fix that now. We're going to make this a multi-line, and we'll say this.props.children. And there we go. So now we have /1/2. That means render child1 and child2 inside of child1. Because we placed this.props.children, we get child2 component right here. One other thing, just to reiterate here, is by default, React Router separates the URL, the portion of the URL that it cares about with a hash like this, a pound symbol. So you can really imagine that React Router only cares about the portions of the route that are after the slash. You'll notice in here that I also have the !_k. This is just a part of the live reload library that we're using, and it's not really a part of React Router. It's solely for live reload. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue in the next section.